Boom, coming in hot, Chinchy. What's going on, brother?
Coming in hot, man. Coming hot. What's this hat today?
Flash? This is the Kent State Golden Flash.
Nice.
Flashes, yeah. They gave that to me, JD and I, when we did the little Breakthrough Pro with them. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, might as well.
By the way, Breakthrough Pro baseball for all the parents out there that are listening to maybe some of you kids, ages 13 and up. We're doing our first ever Breakthrough Pro baseball, which is going to be incredible. So, because we've mostly done Breakthrough Pro public, Breakthrough Pro baseball first for the public. We've already done a few teams, which has been, I think that's why we know it. We know how incredible it is.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, just being down with the Pirates, being part of the Yankees, being part of the guys at the big league level, their minds, they're always looking to get better mentally, how they think about things. So if you're 13 or up, this is the tool you need. There's 5 tools. The number one, it's really 6 tools. The number one tool is your mind. Bottom line, we work on so many different things, but the number one tool is your mind. If you want to get better at really learning how to be consistent, have a better approach, get the results you want, that's what we're doing at Breakthrough Pro. So I really would highly recommend April 27th, signing your kid up to come join us. If he's a serious baseball player, if he's not, that's cool. Don't have him sign up, please.
Right.
But if he is serious and you guys love the game of baseball and you want to learn the skill of how to think and the skill, it can be trained. And it's the number one skill because this is a game of failure and it's going to beat you down. April 27th, we started our first 8-week program of baseball, of Breakthrough Pro baseball.
I love it.
It's going to be incredible. So I'm trying to partner with a few different people on it. But like I said, for our listeners on the podcast, go check out breakthrough-pro.com. We'll put the link.
Yeah, I'll put it in.
The link. You can put Sean Casey Live or whatever change. I'll send it to you. But put the link in the show, April 27th, 7 p.m. And if you're a coach out there, if you're a parent out there, and you love baseball and you want to look at how to train your kids better or how to talk to your teams, I'm telling you right now, we have the data. We've done 7 of these already. This is our 8th season. We have the data. If you want to get better at this and you want to learn the skill of the mental side of the game, this is it, folks. Period. Like I'm that confident in saying that because I've done it and I've seen so many people. The stuff that people have written me has been incredible. But I basically did it with the Yankees. Basically did it with talking through some of the guys with the Pirates. But I did it my whole career, and I do it in life, and they mirror each other. So. Yeah. We weren't going to talk about this, Chinch, but I'm going on a little rant to say, listen, if you're serious about the game of baseball, you get – last thing I'll say, you go pay for the hitting lessons. You go pay for the pitching lessons. You go pay for the running lessons, the lifting lessons. I know what they cost. I know what they cost. And the one thing you're going to need to have all that stuff come out is the mindset.
Sure.
And I don't care what anybody says, oh, I already know that stuff. No, you don't. No, you don't, because I didn't know it. I had to learn it. I had to train it all the time. I still train it every single day. So you don't know what you don't know at the end of the day. And if you want to know, come join Breakthrough Pro with John Dennis and I, April 27th, 8-week program, Sunday night, 7 to 8. It's a no-brainer if you're serious about the game of baseball and life, but really serious about the game of baseball. So if you're – I'm not even for the players. If you're a coach, if you're a parent, if you're a player, come join us on the 27th.
Yeah, man, it's great. I've been sifting through. I got an hour and a half of some Breakthrough Pro. I'm editing some stuff.
That's right.
It's so cool. It's so great.
See, that's right, Chinchy. Chinchy's breaking down a nice one of the sessions that we did with Kent State, which was incredible. And I know, Chinch, I appreciate you watching that, but that's what we do for 8 weeks, dude.
It's great. It'll fire you up, folks.
Can you imagine having that if you were at Columbia? And
if I had that when I was a kid, I really wish this stuff was around, like what you do was around when I was a kid. No joke.
Dude, so do I. Yeah. That's why I started it, because I'm like, I wish I had this when I was growing up.
Yeah, it's nice, folks. Seriously.
Yeah, it's great. Like if your team at Columbia was sitting there, you'd be like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of my team at Columbia, dude, my former head coach, Mick Aoki, who's now the current head coach of the Richmond Spiders, they are blowing it up.
Bro, spinning webs nationwide. Good job, Mick, man. Came in last year as bringing that bringing our program back to Coach Atkins' days when we're going to regionals and almost making the College World Series and everything.
Yeah.
Mick Aoki's doing a great job out down there in Richmond, spinning webs nationwide, baby.
Yeah, what are they? What are you, the Atlantic 10? Hold on.
Yeah, we're A10.
Richmond is
They're like 19-5.
20-4.
20-4, and beating some legit. They just crushed Virginia recently. They've beaten like some top teams. Their RPI is pretty big. They're playing good teams. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's funny. I got recruited by Rhode Island pretty hard back in the day, but back then it was people used to call it UR High. So my mom's like, "You're not going to Rhode Island." Oh, so nice though. What's that, Kingsington? Oh, right on.
Is
the
that
water.
what she said? Your mom's like, "We ain't doing that."
Yeah, you're not going anywhere that's telling you to go do drugs. I was like, all right.
Well, dude, this is Richmond, Virginia, dude. Right down there. It's in the suburbs of Richmond. It's a beautiful campus, dude.
Little Dave Matthews.
Only 3,000 students. Dave Matthews Band every Wednesday night at the Flood Zone. See cup and emotion, and cup is overflowing. All the little ants are marching, red and black and tender waving.
He's not Scottish. You make him sound Scottish.
No, he does, dude. He's from South Africa, dude. He has a little bit of twang in there.
Yeah, he's like Elon Musk.
Yeah, I got a little Scottish accent in there, but I think at times it does sound like that.
It does. Anyway, digress. Dude, man, bad food will get you every time. Mookie Betts is finally turning the corner. He lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks, Sean, and he is not a huge. It's not like Adam Dunn losing.
Right.
Mookie Betts losing 20 pounds. That's a lot.
Right. He's like below 160, dude.
That's crazy.
That is, and I'll tell you what. I mean, I like what he said though. He said he's starting to be able to keep things down. He's vomiting. That's different. Like if you're got the old Montezuma's revenge, that's not fun either. Right. But nobody wants to throw up, dude. I don't know about you, Chinch, but that's like literally. I'll do anything not to throw up.
It's the worst.
I'll do anything not to throw up, and it sounds like
can't keep.
He's been really grinding with that. Can't keep anything down. But I guess yesterday's the first day he started keeping stuff down, and he was like, "I'm so sick and tired of throwing up." I guess he went through a whole workout yesterday. But he's down 18 to 20 pounds, dude. Like, that's a big one.
That's a lot, too, right? Like, don't you try to get to you? We were talking about it the other day. Plus, we had your former strength coach on talking about, like, when you would get there, you're getting in certain shape and you want to be in a certain shape and be, have some sort of lifting program for your season when you get there. Mm-hmm. You come in like this, you are way behind an 8 ball, aren't you? Just from a conditioning standpoint, he probably, oh my God, he's probably winded with everything he does, just walking upstairs right now, let alone playing 162 game baseball season. This is scary a little bit.
He lost 18 pounds in 2 weeks. Yeah. That's tough to do. 18 pounds in 2 weeks, and he's down to 157. 157, below 160. He usually plays at 175. One thing about baseball weight, dude, I played at 235. Right now I'm like 225. I played at 235, 238 that was my sweet spot. And for whatever reason, I remember one year I got down to 217. It was too skinny for me, dude. I just didn't have the same pop. It was my body, so I'm sure Mookie's going to have to start out the season if he wants to play, obviously a little light. Because, you're not going to put on 18 pounds just like that. And maybe you will because it's maybe a lot of water weight you're getting rid of. But, just the fact that you've had that for the last couple of weeks is never great. But, hey, at the end of the day, it's a good sign for the Dodgers. It's not like we're not talking about a major injury here. We're talking about, a bacteria that got in there probably in Japan that, flying over there. The food's different. The culture's different. So
fish heads, a lot of fish heads they got down
there. There are a lot of fish heads, but the fish is so good over there, dude. Oh my gosh, so good. We talk about real. That's why the sushi over there is next level.
Yeah. Hey, so what I remember, like back in the day, hearing that guys used to try to come into the season a little overweight, even because some guys would just naturally shed as the season goes on. Is that?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Well, I was being down to spring training. And we're talking about Kevin Gausman. They said Gausman's up 30 pounds. Ooh. They said the reason is he loses 25 during the year.
See?
Just so many starts, so much running. I mean, it's so hard to stay on it.
Yeah.
Also, too, I thought this is interesting, too, Chinchy. The food is so much better in the big leagues now. Certain teams, I just found this out, certain teams have different chefs. So you might have a chef come in that that makes great food, good food, that makes great food. Maybe it's spiced up a little differently here and there. Then they also have nutritionists that become chefs. So they're almost like performance chefs. So like you go out to pitch, Chinch, and you're like, hey, on the day you pitch in the morning, you're going to have 5 eggs, some, whatever it is, avocados, and some steak. Right before you eat, right before you go out there to pitch, you're going to have 2.5 hours before, you're going to have chicken with rice, and that's a performance chef. So some teams are looking at nutrition this way because I think it's the most important thing nowadays. Nutrition has like performance. You're going to eat this. You're getting the right carbs. You're getting the protein, everything in this meal. And then other people just have the great chefs. It's good food, but it's not necessary for your performance. What do you think of that, dude?
I mean, I think, it's funny you say that. My dad was a gastroenterologist his whole life. And he always said, and still says it to this day, and it's very interesting. He goes, your food intake is what works for you. Like everybody's body chemistry is a little bit different. And he would say, like, if, you can eat bacon, but bacon doesn't go into people the same way. And you and me eating bacon probably have 2 different performances on our body.
Right.
But I will say, probably even back by the time I got out of college, like 15, 20 years ago, like I wish I had eaten differently. Like every weekend before the games, I would have like a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel or something. And that's probably the dumbest thing you could put in your body. I remember David Wells, every once in a while, used to have 2 Big Macs before it starts.
Dude, Dunner used to get McDonald's. We'd be in Wrigley, and Dunner would come out like, they'd be like, hey, who wants a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit? Who wants a egg McMuffin? Who wants a couple hash browns? I was crushing those hash browns. Are probably the greasiest, nastiest things you've ever seen before a game at Wrigley.
Well, remember the Sky Dome, when it was a Sky Dome, they had the McDonald's in there, and Dan Plesac said every morning it would just be the breakfast, like croissant, he's like, I used to nail like 15 of those every morning on a weekends before day games. I mean, these guys are in such better conditioning than we were. They stretch differently. Remember, like, I remember it was a big deal when your strength coach would bring in like the TheraBands.
Yeah.
We're not using weights today. And you'd be like, what? Why are we not using weights today? Now, remember Evan Longoria extended his career by doing yoga. He just almost exclusively started doing yoga and not doing heavy lifting. I think it's whatever your body. It's great that there are all these different types of strength and conditioning coaches, because remember we were talking about Ichiro. Ichiro had all his bands and all that stuff. I'm sure Adam Dunn was just doing skull crushers all day, and that was probably better for him, right?
Dude, Dunn was just such a monster. I think the science is so great now, Chinch. You can whatever you measure improves in life. That's why I wear the Oura Ring. It measures my sleep. Well, it tells me, okay, dude, here's your circadian rhythm. Says you need to be in bed between 8:45 and 9:45. Your best sleep is, 7.5 to 8 hours. You should wake up at this time every morning. Well, dude, I'm better at it because I can measure it. Well, over the years, they're measuring, athletic performance. Do guys need rests here? When they travel, what they eat, what's their HRV when they're pitching. It's incredible what you can measure now. Mm-hmm. So you'd be crazy not to be one of the, you're investing billions of dollars in this industry, $15 billion industry, to not look and say, okay, dude, I just want to let you know, here's the information. If you eat this before your start, you're going to pitch better. If you sleep this many hours before your start, you're going to pitch better. Like, you're going to do better. So like, it's so there now. And, but it has to be individualized, because you're right. They always say like, well, your hips are tight. Well, if you go look at some of the stuff, the studies on some of the guys, like, dude, having tight hips necessarily isn't a bad thing for a hitter, because it makes you makes you more explosive or whatever it is. Right. There's things to that. Just the way the motor systems, the way that everything works is different for every guy. So it's like getting the information for each guy and then creating a personal plan for each guy that works for them. That's the secret sauce nowadays in the big leagues, dude, trying to figure that out. And then also too, how to unlock things mentally. How to, this guy thinks this way, you can be a little harder on this guy, or this guy takes, wants to be maybe pushed a little harder, or the way you think about yourself and all those things. Self-talk is at another level. The last thought you think when you go out into combat or into the game, the last thought you think when I'm looking at that picture is the last thing my brain wants to focus on. So if you've got too many thoughts going on, your brain can't lock in and focus. There's so many different things to understand each player, and for every player for each player to start to understand themselves. That's not easy to do, Chinch. You know what I mean? Like, you're telling me to do things. I'm like, well, I'm not wired that way. And also, too, here's another thing. Talk about the metrics for hitting. Every guy has their own hitting coach. Every guy has their nutrition coach. So now you're taking that and you're trying to blend. Now you have that stuff in the offseason. You get to the regular season. You have the team's philosophy. So what's your philosophy? We all have to have a philosophy on how we live our lives. You have to be able to mend that together in this industry. It's not an easy puzzle to put together, Chinch.
No, it's true. And I would say it's even more unique to baseball to be specific to each guy. Because, like, you know, if you're a wide receiver, you got to, you know, high point to the ball, whatever. In football, like, everybody's got to try to get that specific type of mechanics. But, like, you can't tell a guy who can't leg kick to leg kick, right? In baseball. You know, I like my hands up here. You like your hands down here. You can't, as long as you're getting to the ball where you're supposed to get to it, like, again, the other thing, 6 foot, you know, Aaron Judge is 6'6". Mike Trout is a little more like my size and stocky, and his stuff is all here. Aaron Judge has different parts of his body that could get him into, you could get different parts of your body get you into different slumps, right? Each guy is different physically.
Exactly.
So you might as well put all the you know, everything you're putting in your body should be done physically.
And also, too, think about, no, dude, no doubt about it. Anything that goes in your body, your body's your temple.
Yeah.
LeBron James spends $1 million a year on recovery, trying to just, you know, because that's where he makes his money, right? You got to make money. You got to stay on the field. You know what I mean? You got to play to make money. That's the bottom line. And like, you think about also too, adjustments. I saw recently an article on stances, how Stephen Kwan stands taller than anybody else. And he was saying, I want to, and instead of having all these different moving parts and getting into my back leg, I just want to get into my back leg and go. Then you got a guy like Bellinger. He's more spread out, or he's taller too, because he wants to work on that downward plane. A guy like Ryan McMahon's more spread out. It's interesting. And it's like, okay, whatever gets you to that ball the best. I mean, you have to figure that out. You have to measure that. So like, the information you're going to get with, hey, man, being spread out, I always felt like if I was too far spread out, it locked me down. I'm 6'3". I want to be 6'3". I want to create leverage down to the baseball. I'm not, you know, 5'8", where maybe I'd have to spread out a little bit, or like Dustin Pedroia, when he took his stride to the ball, dude, I don't even know what it was, but it was huge.
Yeah.
He was creating leverage. He wasn't the biggest of guys, but you had to put it in his zone, and he was going to create the leverage with the stride. Like, I'm fascinated with that kind of stuff. Like, you know, why guys do what they do. Some guys go forward. You know, some guys like to stay back and rotate. A lot of those guys are bigger, stronger guys that can create, like an Albert Pujols would pick his foot up. A Shohei Ohtani picks his foot up. Well, Shohei Ohtani is 6'4", you know, 200 and some whatever pounds, you know, jacked. Aaron Judge is 6'7", 280, jacked. What does he want? Long arms, big guy, 6'7". He wants to push the ball, push it up, push it out. Look at his numbers. He's one of the best middle away. So it's like, all that stuff, dude, there's so much information. You have to be able to, at the big league level, lock into what makes you great and get all the resources that you have nowadays at this level, and be able to tell people, hey, this is what works for me,
right?
You know, at that level.
Yeah, I totally. It's fascinating. It's a great conversation. It came out of nowhere. I like it. But like, I remember like 5-6 years ago, everybody was complaining like about Bryce Harper. His torque and the way he swung a bat, it's not sustainable. He's going to break down. But guess what? He's only getting better. Like his body, you know, his thought process. He knows what he's doing to his body. He knows he knows how to stay on the field. You know, things like that.
Well, dude, look at Bryce Harper. He does Pilates now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, all Pilates.
Yeah,
you're exactly right. Like, what did he do? He made the adjustment.
Right, he made the adjustment.
Kept getting hurt.
Loose. Yep, exactly.
He's like, I'm gonna mix it up.
Yeah, there you go, dude. We're talking about the mental side of baseball. Yeah. We're talking about conditioning. We haven't even talking about really like the mechanics of swinging a baseball bat.
Yeah,
this is everything that goes into being a great athlete, being a next level athlete. You know, for athletes, but like, how do you take your athleticism and put yourself at the peak position to succeed?
And then what you do is, and this is in life too, but what you do is you find all this information and what makes you the best version of yourself. Because That's going to show up on the field. And then you create routines, because when you create routines, you save mental energy, right? Your brain just, the energy, the food that goes in your body does two things with that energy: digestion and the mind. So if you start to create routines that you tell yourself, hey, listen, when we wake up in the morning from 7 to 7:30, we're going to get up and go get a little quick workout in. From 8:30 to 9, we're going to journal. From 9 to 10, we're going to do this, and we're going to off to work. We're going to get a cup of coffee, off to work we go, or whatever it is. But you start creating routines, especially as a baseball player, all of a sudden you're like, man, you're conserving energy, because you're not like, what am I doing next? What do I need to work on? No, get a routine. Find a process, stick to it every day, conserve that energy. So when you get into the game, you're like, I'm ready to go. Man, how do you have so much energy? My routines are so tight. My discipline is so freaking tight. I've learned over time who I am, what makes me work, and now I go. And that's huge.
I love it, dude. Fascinating stuff, dude.
Fascinating.
Yeah. All right. Well, we had more than we were thinking of doing, but
This is great, dude. This turned out to be a great conversation.
It is. It's more helpful than us doing the power rankings of starting pitchers, which maybe we'll do tomorrow. But dude, you're working on something. You're studying something. Can you give a little tease about what we want to talk about tomorrow?
Dude, I'm just really excited. I'm studying because there's so many schools of thought here, and there's no one way to skin a cat. I think that's the biggest thing. But everyone talks about hitting the ball out front. Get the ball out front. I'm like, that can be a dangerous thought when you don't appreciate the adrenaline that you have in the game, because hitting the ball out front is easier than letting the ball travel, and it's such a fine line. We're talking about inches. So if you don't know what you're really talking about, you can mess up a lot of different people, especially kids out there. We're like, get the ball out front, and then all of a sudden you have a guy that's trying to deceive you with the changeup, the curveball. So if everything starts going forward, you can be in trouble. So I want to talk about that. I want to break down where's the right place to hit it? Is it out front? Is it, is it deep like a Tony Gwynn or something like that? And Shohei Ohtani, but we'll get into that a little bit more. And I'm excited to break that down, bro.
Yeah. You give me a little bit of it, and you give me some stats that go along with it. Before we started today, I'm very excited to hear you dive into this tomorrow.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah,
Professor Casey tomorrow.
Yeah. Tune in tomorrow. Everyone better, you want to get a hitting tutorial tomorrow? Tune in tomorrow. It's going to be really good. And don't forget, Breakthrough Pro, April 27th. Get your kids signed up. Get yourself signed up. Get your coaches. If you're a coach, parent, let's go. I want to learn some stuff, a skill to be developed. No doubt about it. Chich, I love you, bro.
Love you, man.
You're the best. I hope Macy's feeling great, man. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.
See you.